I'm Jamie Hooper with Remax Crest and jamiehooper.com, and today I thought it would be both fun and interesting to go back and look at the history of the Vancouver real estate market from January 1977 until the end of March 2018. So let's talk about the period, first of all, from 1977 to 1981. In 1977, the average cost of a property in Greater Vancouver for a detached house was approximately $80,000. 4 years later, in 1980, the average cost of a house had risen to almost $180,000. So if you think some of the things that we've been seeing that have gone on in the last decade or so around here are new, there were boom years before. The problem was during that time, the economy in both the United States and Canada had massive inflation issues. And how they combat inflation is to raise interest rates. By the end of 1981, interest rates had risen to over 20%. And what that did is it caused a crash in the real estate market, as you can see by the graph behind you. I remember back in that period of time, I had a savings account that was paying me 18% interest just to leave your money in the bank. Why would you have your money anywhere else? It took a lot of speculators out of the market and made it a real safe place to have your money until the end of the 1980s. So after the 1981 crash, when houses came down approximately 50% of the value, the next 5 years between 1981 and 86 were extremely flat for the real estate market. Gas was 39 cents a liter. The city was preparing for Expo. BC Place Stadium was built, and there wasn't much happening in the real estate market in those days. With the opening of Expo in 1986, it seemed to create new life for the Vancouver real estate market. They only expected about 12 million people to go through the gates, and if I remember correctly, it wound up at over 20 million people. That's what changed the city forever, and that's when the international community discovered Vancouver. The real estate market saw some pretty steady gains just through the next 8-year period between 1986 and 1994. The markets began to cool in the mid-90s. From 1994 to 2001, the BC economy was not in very good shape. While the rest of North America was booming with real estate and just the economy in general, and that's in the States and Canada, BC was sorely lagging behind. During this period of time, you probably saw the value of your home drop about 17 or 18%. The markets didn't tank by any stretch, but they trickled down by a couple of percent a year. There was a lot of Hong Kong buyers and residents in the country during that period after Expo to 1997 because they didn't know what was going to happen to Hong Kong when 1997 did occur. When they found out it was business as usual, a lot of that money left British Columbia and returned to Hong Kong. Two events had major impacts on the real estate market around the city in 2001. First of all, in May of that year, there was a provincial election and the provincial government changed. What that did was it made the phones ring more than I had ever seen them ring since I had been in real estate. Just that one little thing. And between May and the summer, after the provincial election, the phones rang like I had never seen them ring before in real estate. But then another event happened in September of 2001, if you recall. September 11th happened. Now, how could that impact the real estate markets around here? If you recall, the Americans were afraid that the Dow Jones was going to crash when they shut the markets down on the Tuesday after September 11th happened, and they didn't reopen them until the following Monday, and they were concerned that the markets were going to crash. So what they did was they dropped their interest rates 1 full point that week, and the Canadians followed. And within the next month and a half, they had dropped them another point, which the Canadians did as well. All of a sudden, we had interest rates in the high to mid 3% range, and the markets took off like we had never seen and continued to do so all the way up until 2008. 2008 brought the first big hiccup that we'd really seen in 7 years since the markets took off in 2001, and that was caused by the US banking meltdown. The Vancouver market slowed down dramatically for about a 12-month period between mid-2008 and mid-2009. However, by the end of 2009, the markets were back where they had been before and on their way upwards again. 2010 to 2016 was another boom era for real estate in our markets locally. House values appreciated almost 50% during that time, and things continued to roll along until the summer of 2016. So all of these things lead us up to our current day market, and I'm hoping that this era will not be known as the era of government regulations. My personal opinion is that governments have no place interfering with free markets, but unfortunately the government doesn't care what I say. Over the last few years, we've seen many things happen since the summer of 2016. We have foreign buyers taxes that are affecting the market, a vacant home tax, stricter mortgage qualification rules, increased property transfer tax figures, and we've also got a speculation tax. All of these things are having impact on the higher end of our markets. Thanks for listening to this video. We hope you found the information useful. If you like any further information, you can check us out at jamiehooper.com. We also have we are also on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, so make sure you look for us there. And if you have any direct questions, please feel free to call or email.